One of the best modifications you can make to your camper van is installing an awning. In this video, I'm going to show you how to install the Vamoose Combi Rail and the Thule Omnistor awning to your Volkswagen Crafter. So yes, this is a bit of a daunting job because you are drilling holes into your van, but it can be done really simply, and the kit that you get includes all of the bits and pieces that you're going to need for the install to make it as easy as possible. This video is going to be useful if you've got a VW Crafter and either you've put a pop top in your roof and therefore the space on the roof is limited and you're going to need to mount some sort of awning to the side of the van, or your current gullies at the top of the van are being utilized by something else. In my case, I've actually installed unistrut rails, which is what my solar panels go across. The original plan was to mount some sort of fabricated bracket which I would then bolt my awning to. However, when I came to doing it, I didn't feel comfortable about making my own brackets, given how expensive and how heavy these awnings are. So I decided that actually I wanted something that looked a bit sleeker and a little bit more factory, which is why I've decided to get a Vamoose Rail, which I'm going to bolt to the side of the van. Then I'm going to mount the awning to the Vamoose Rail using these special brackets. Just before we get into the main install, this video is in partnership with Perfect Awnings. Guys at Perfect Awnings have been really helpful, advising and giving different ideas around how we can achieve the install that we wanted. They have supplied the awning, the Vamoose Rail and the brackets and all the kit that you are seeing here today, and they have given a 5% discount using the code VANFAM5. Put a link in the description box below to their website. That discount will give you 5% off all Thule and Vamoose products from their website. Use the code, definitely worth saving a few pounds when you're buying this sort of kit. This install will also apply if you're doing a Fiamma F45S. It's exactly the same process, it's just a different awning, of which the guys at Perfect Awnings can also supply. So these are all the bits and pieces you get with the Vamoose kit. Got some screws. The silver ones are the initial self-tapping screws and the black ones are the final finishing screws. Very important to remember that. Some alcohol wipes, some gloves, instructions, sticker adhesive. This is the Vamoose Rail, 3 meters long. This is the end cap and nose cone with a 3M sticky back adhesive. The rear cap, which I've already scored just on the back there, that will be bonded onto the van as well. I bought some new drill bits and also some step drill bits. Then moving on, these are the brackets. These are really nice. Essentially they will sit on top of there, and then there'll be another 2 bolts going through the top, which will use rivet nuts to then go into the top of the van. This clamps on, and then this is the back plate which slides onto there, and this is what the awning will sit on, but we'll come back to that more in a minute. That's all the kit that you're going to need. Obviously, well, there's a drill and a rivet nut tool. This is all the kit you're going to need to be able to install this rail onto the van. So to start off with, you're going to want to mark 22mm from this line here up. What that means is that's going to be the bottom edge of the Vamoose Rail, and you want to run that all the way along. So it's around about 22mm from here up. Alternatively, you could measure from this top of the door sill 30mm up, but it's about the same. You basically just want it to be slightly over the edge of this vertical face, so the rail will sit up here, and that's what we're going to be screwing into. And then the bracket for the awning will then sit on top. The starting point on the Crafter is this line here. So this is where we're going to start the rail, and it's going to run all the way down to the other end. Just see how it curves off there, and it also curves this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to start from around about the middle, put the first screw in as a pilot and the second, so then it's secure and straight in that middle section, and then effectively bend the rail as we move along, gradually putting in another screw at various places, just drilling those initial pilot holes until we get the curve of the rail all the way to this end, and then we'll start from the middle and work our way to the back. Effectively what we want to do is just drill pilot holes and get the rail curving to the profile of the roof of the van. So as I'm not a complete superhero, just a van builder, using some duct tape just to hold the rail in place whilst I do the initial pilot holes. Ideally you'd want a second pair of hands to be able to help you with this, but I don't have any friends at the moment, so it's just me. So I'm just making sure that it's all lined up with the top of that threshold, and we're going to just do a little pilot hole and then put a self-tapping screw in. That will hold this one in place. Probably do a second one there, and then finish the front and then the rear. You can just see that rear profile, how it sticks out straight. We need to bend that down to the back end of the van. Now we're going back now. The key with these is to not drill too far. short, sharp bursts with the drill will get them in. Because if you punch her straight through, you'll pull the metal and the hole will be too big. And that's not fun. There we go. That's all that's needed just to get that pilot hole in. And we'll start working on the others. There we go. That's the front end done. Pilot holes in. Just got to do the rear end. That is the awning rail done. Now I need to take out all the screws. There's a few done there. Take out all the screws, clean it up, and then we'll bond it on properly for its final fit. Okay, so next up, what I'm going to do, you can just see there's a bit of swath here. I'm just going to brush that off. I'm going to take this tape away, and where we've got these little holes now, I'm just going to treat them with a little bit of primer. Obviously that's exposed bare metal. We're then going to clean this entire surface and the rail using the alcohol wipes, just to make sure they're absolutely clean before we put some sticker and bond the rail to the van. So after removing the tape, you want to clean down the edge of the van with the alcohol wipe, as well as the rail before applying it. Prime the holes, and then run a bead of Sikaflex down the edge of the rail and fill in the little holes, ready for the screws. Now carefully position the rail onto the side of the van, and using a screwdriver, locate each of the screws into the holes. It's important to do this by hand rather than using an electric drill, so you can feel for how tight the screws are. You don't want to over tighten them. Now we got to the nose cone. This is going to slot onto the end like that, and you can kind of just position it wherever you want. It's only rubber, but you probably want to just line it up first because you've only got one shot at this. So the awning's now bolted and bonded to the van. What I've done is I've just masked off all the way around, giving a millimetre gap. I'm going to run the whole length all the way around the rail and the nose cone, just to seal it off with some Sikaflex. That will make sure that it's completely waterproof all the way around the awning rail. It's also worth just putting a little bit of super glue just to glue the nose cone to the rail just around here. I've also done the same with the end cap on the back of the van, just to make sure that this is actually glued to this. On this underside, I'm actually going to use this CT1 clear adhesive, only because you're going to see it from underneath the awning, so I'd rather have it clear. Might just make it look a little bit neater rather than completely black. Just a handy tip, if you make a mess of the Sikaflex, don't panic. Use some white spirit or alcohol wipes on a rag, just tidy up, and you'll get there in the end. You just take away any residue that's on the bodywork, and you can make it nice and neat. Okay, so next up we're going to install the brackets for the awning. I'm actually going to locate these on the front one in between the two screws, the very end screws. I'm going to get as close to this second from last screw, and to do so we just need to mark a dot there, and then what we'll do is we'll open that hole up to about 9mm, and we'll rivet nut that in, bolt it in place, double check the alignment, and then do the front hole, this one here. So that's in a good position. You really want it set on the rail nice, and then this will clamp over. If your awning is longer than 3 meters, you'll have a third bracket which will go in the middle. But I'm doing one at the front, next to the second from last screw, and one at the back, same position. So using the step drill, I drilled to around about 8mm. Then I used a 9mm drill to open up the hole to allow for the size of the rivet nut. I used a magnet to clear up the swath, followed by wiping down and cleaning the surface with the alcohol wipe. This just makes sure that the surface is really clean before we install the brackets. Prime the holes, and then you can rivet nut using your chosen rivet nut tool. This is a fairly basic one I got off Amazon. Then using some clear adhesive, just fill the holes and around the rivet nuts just to give them an absolute waterproof seal. You can then install the bracket using the 6mm hex bolts and the 10mm nuts that come with the installation kit. So here we are at the back end of the van with the rear mount installed. Now the trick here is to get the angle the exact same as the front, and also the angle of this mounting plate, so you can adjust it forwards and backwards, and you can adjust this plate in and out. Because obviously the back of the van narrows in and curves down, this back section I've just brought out a little bit. You can line it up and it is just about there. I'm pretty sure that's spot on. But these plates might need to be adjusted up and down because obviously you don't want to catch the sliding door when the awning's out. So that's the next job. It's easy enough to adjust. You just use the 10mm socket on these bolts and these bolts hit. At this point I became superhuman and decided to install the awning all by myself. It's definitely doable, but I'd highly recommend getting a friend to help angle it up onto the brackets. So the next job, we need to drill 2 3.5 4mm holes, and then we can put these small nuts and bolts through and bolt it from the inside. It's a bit fiddly because this arm's in the way, so you got to pull out the awning just a little bit, then you can get behind and secure it all in place. So I found, with just the awning slightly pulled out, put this first one in, and the same on the other side, so the inner side first, then you can pull the rest of the awning out and do this underside. I also found it easier with a 4mm drill bit, but they are secure now, so you put the screw in. It's a bit fiddly, but you can get the nut over the top and then clamp it shut. Now that is solid. So we'll underwind it completely, then we'll put the last 2 screws in. And there we go. The awning is on. A bit fiddly on those bolts, but we are done. And I've just mounted the awning wind out. Just mounted it to the back of our bunks. Fits there perfectly. Happy with that. So thanks again to Perfect Awnings. Don't forget to use the code VAMFAM5 on their website for a 5% discount on their products. If you like this video, please like, subscribe and click the alert button so you get a notification when we upload our next video. Thanks very much for watching.